What's up, everybody? Nate and Connor here from Out of the Basement, bringing you our review of not X-Men, just Dark Phoenix. Written and directed by Simon Kinberg, who's also written such hit films as XXX State of the Union,
Mr. and Mrs. Smith,
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter,
Jumper,
X-Men 3 The Last Stand,
Fantastic,
and X-Men Apocalypse. So you know you're going to be in for a wild ride. Of course, this also stars Sophie Turner, Jessica Chastain, Michael Fassbender, James McAvoy, the entire crew that we've seen for a few movies now.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, she is there, briefly. This is going to be a spoiler review. We're not going to really get that in-depth with the movie, but...
You'll get no more in depth than the movie got.
Yes, but in case you're really concerned about spoilers for Dark Phoenix, here's your warning. So, Connor, let's talk about this fucking nightmare.
We start off with a retelling of the origin story of Jean Grey.
Gripping.
The most powerful of mutants.
Again.
Who's, changing the radio stations while her mom's driving.
And then knocks her mom unconscious and causes them to have a car accident?
Does she... Okay, she just says quiet and that's what...
Yeah, that's what I took away from that.
So that happened. Then Charles Xavier takes her to... Well, James McAvoy with his luscious locks.
Yes, not a wig.
Not a wig at all.
No.
Comes and takes her to his school for the gifted. And we have a conversation about what special is.
And then things happen.
So when the movie really picks up, though, so all of these kind of prequel X-Men movies have been like just period pieces.
Yeah, I'd say that's a safe bet. Okay, yeah. Here's what irked me about this movie is that X-Men Apocalypse. This is my first irk. By the way, this movie sucks. It's terrible. First thing that irked me about this movie was that in X-Men Apocalypse, the shit show that movie was, at least at the very end, they teased, like, the 90s looking costumes.
Yeah.
But in this movie, throw it away. We're going back to the generic, sort of first-class looking costumes where everyone's wearing the same outfit. And that just doesn't work. Like, the X-Men are always, like... Besides, like, you know, the original, every X-Men character usually has a pretty distinct costume that's different from each person.
Yeah.
And pretty much all they have in common is, like, maybe the X logo is somewhere. It may be on the costume. And it's just... Like, I thought we were at least going to get some of that.
When you have a chance here, you know, you're finally in the 90s. So we've been stuck, you know, we started in the 60s back in, like, 2011 with these prequels, I mean. So you have a chance now, you know, you're almost... 20 years after the first X-Men movie, and obviously, you know, 90s, you know, when we have the animated series and all that stuff, you have a chance to really capture, like, that nostalgia and use that as a selling point. And it just seems like such a waste to... We're finally in the 90s, why not just run with it?
Right, especially because everyone... Universally, I would say the X-Men animated series is loved.
And it's weird, too, though. And so I said, you know, yes, they've been period pieces up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, it says it's in the 90s, but, like, is it really, though?
Yeah. Like, I mean, sure, I guess there were some old cars in the movie, but then they're on, like, a future train at the end of the movie.
The collar things from Deadpool 2.
Yeah, it's like...
That apparently exists before the original X-Men movies.
Shut up. Yeah, that's another great point, Connor. Okay, this movie takes place in 1992. Michael Fassbender turns into Sir Ian McKellen in 7 years. He must go through some horrific, rapid aging in those 7 years. Same thing with James McAvoy to Patrick Stewart.
Apparently playing chess outside a French cafe just ages you up.
Ages you. Like, this movie... makes no sense. There's no sense of continuity because these movies are still supposed to be in line with the original trilogy of X-Men movies.
But not
It's like they wanted that and then they abandoned it and then they tried to bring it back and then they just said fuck it again.
Here's the thing, it just doesn't even matter. You walk into this movie and it just right away, like any sense that like this could be a good movie, it's futile. It's futile.
Yeah. All of the actors look like they're in pain. They're suffering. Sophie Turner specifically, I feel like she's just not good in this movie. She's really flat. Her line delivery is straight up just like, I'm reading a script now. Like when she's getting blasted with the Phoenix powers and she's like, ah.
But well, another point here too, so when we're in 1992, it's like the X-Men are apparently like rock stars now. Like the president calls Xavier.
Yeah,
he's got his number.
They're like super buddies.
And so even though they've never done it before and are not trained astronauts, Charles Xavier sends the X-Men to space.
Which, apparently Jean Grey can breathe in space. She doesn't need any oxygen. She's so powerful.
She's got those Ryan Johnson force power.
Yeah, she doesn't need to breathe anymore. I was thinking that. I was like, because Nightcrawler gets the helmet taped onto him. Which that wouldn't do anything anyway, because you kind of need, like, oxygen flowing into the mask for it to work, or else you're just wearing a helmet.
But, I immediately turned to Nate, because there's a shot where, like, they're in the jet, and the basketball court opens up, and I turned to Nate, and I was just like, remember how cool this was in the year 2000? This shot? And then, like, the jet comes out, and it looks like such shit.
Yeah, the CG is abysmal in this movie. It is so just low budget looking. It looks like they were just like, I guess we gotta make another X-Men movie. And that's kind of how, that's like the theme of this whole movie is like, I guess it's another X-Men movie.
But so they're on a space mission and they save most of the crew, but the captain is still in something somewhere.
He's stuck in a different part of the ship, so then they have to go back.
Charles is like, no, we leave no one behind. I don't care who dies in the process.
Yeah. Like, I don't care if anyone on my own team dies.
And so then we get that whole... So, yeah, the thing happens. Jean gets Phoenix powers. There's no tension in that scene because, like, we know she's going to live. The movie's called Dark Phoenix.
Yeah. There's no tension in the entire movie because... That's the problem with it being a prequel. Like, for instance, spoiler alert, a little bit later in the movie, Mystique dies. But she's not dead because she's in the other movies. Unless they're really trying to say that this is a different continuity. But if that's the case, I did not pick up on that at all.
Yeah, it's just really, like, the timeline is all screwy.
They tried to fix it with Days of Future Past, and then they were just like, fuck it.
But, so then one of the central plots of this film is that Charles Xavier, I made the analogy, he's essentially Loomis in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Yeah.
He's like he's in it for the glory.
Like for some reason now, like Professor X is like all like, I'll do this because it makes people like me.
Yeah, and like there's this whole. Where he's accepting some award, like some presidential award.
Yeah. And
all the X-Men are partying in the woods, which was Nate's favorite part of the film.
Yeah, the only good part of the movie was the brief Dazzler cameo, and that's about it.
But then Professor X is like, it's like the ultimate humble brag. It's like, all I've really done is create a world where children feel safe and can be them. Like, all I've done goes on to list all these accomplishments.
I haven't done much, but
it's very passive aggressive. And just out of character.
Yeah, like, I've never gotten that vibe from Professor X.
It was like the scene in Spider-Man 3 where he starts bragging about his accomplishments to Mary Jane and she, like, dumps him.
Yeah. It made no sense that Professor X would randomly be, like, so interested in being popular and famous and well-liked.
So then Jean starts going off the rails.
Yeah, starts getting her powers, and then she figures out that her dad is still alive.
Out of the blue.
Yeah, and then just goes to visit him, and then she finds out that her dad doesn't want her.
It's all these moments that are supposed to be super deep and emotional, but they're just so hollow. Like, there's no resonance in any of it.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that just, like, every actor in the movie is just like, I guess I'm here. You can't stop me from collecting a paycheck, Charles.
But so she goes, whatever. The police get called. The X-Men come. She kills Mystique or Raven, because we're not calling her Mystique anymore.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, I'm glad that at least that scene didn't like drag too long, trying to make it seem like, oh, she's dead, because she's not, obviously, unless for some reason I've totally missed something throughout the X-Men movies, or through these last movies where it's a different timeline now,
or it's her unknown twin sister,
dude, or that, yeah. So she dies, and Beast gets really mad about it because Mystique randomly is like, "I love you." Was that set up at all? Am I just
in First Class, they have like kind of a thing, but like Beast doesn't really like accept her blue form.
Because I was just like, where's this coming from? Why is there a sudden love interest between Beast and Mystique? I thought I was going crazy.
Yeah, it's like a callback to First Class, but you're not.
That was 2-3 movies ago.
That was in 2011.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just so. But that's apparently the driving force of the plot, and so Jean, the laughable action sequences here. Her all the flying, all of like.
It's so like everyone's like stiff. Like
yeah.
Like when she flies away, it literally just looks like Sophie Turner went like this, and then they just animate her like getting smaller. And same thing like when Magneto is introduced in the movie, and he just is like this.
And we outright laughed out loud when Magneto first
appeared. Because it looks like a static image, and they're just animating it to like get bigger. It's so cheesy.
So I mean, Jean goes to Magneto to seek guidance on how to stop killing. Because she killed a person.
Yeah, because she killed.
Because she killed
Mystique.
This is painful to talk about. Then the government comes looking for her. She starts. So Magneto's leading like a commune.
Yeah.
Like a safe haven for mutants.
With some real Z-list mutants, like Hair Whip guy.
Because for a second I was like, oh cool, like they're doing like the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, it's not that.
No. You get some real Z-tier mutants, and we forgot to talk about Jessica Chastain's character, who is possessed by the mummy from the Brendan Fraser films, and they're like this. They try and interject this like random alien subplot into the movie, like these aliens are looking for the Phoenix power,
and they seem crazy powerful, but
then at the end of the movie, they're like pretty much as strong as humans. Like
they're roughly putties from Power Rangers.
Yes, when they're introduced and she like twists the guy's stomach and he dies instantly, you're like, oh.
It's like an Apocalypse, right? Like Apocalypse has all these cool powers, he uses them in like the opening shots, and then never in the battles. That would have come in handy, I feel, when you were fighting the X-Men.
Like at the end of this movie, when Nightcrawler is just like teleporting between all of the aliens, and he's like breaking their necks and like stabbing them once, I'm like, that's it? Like these like crazy formidable aliens, and then like they set them up like they're so powerful, and then they're just easily dispatched like nobody's business.
Get all the like the power like all the mutant abilities in this like
it depends on the scene how strong each individual mutant is.
Yes, exactly. So Jessica Chastain is essentially the villain. Despite it being called Dark Phoenix, we do have a villain.
And her name is Vuck. Vuck.
You fucking kidding me?
This movie fucking sucked.
So Vuck had a plan to do with the powers.
Absorb the power for herself.
Or manipulate Jean or absorb the power.
To create new life, because the Phoenix power destroyed her planet, so she thinks if she can use the Phoenix power, she can create life with it? I guess?
I don't know. Maybe. Jessica Chastain is an amazing actress. This was
easily one of her worst performances.
This is a change of pace for Jessica.
Like, I understand that they were probably trying to go for, like, she's like an alien and is trying to act like a human, but that doesn't make a compelling villain. That just makes a shitty character. And you have to watch so many scenes with her where she's just dead-faced and just staring at Jean Grey, and Sophie Turner's also delivering a very flat performance, and you're just sitting there like, is this movie over yet? When is this ending? I can't wait.
So basically, post that, Magneto is trying to figure out whose blood it is on Jean's shirt, and he asks her a million times, whose blood is that? Gets no answer. Big confrontation with the military. A big laughable confrontation with the military.
Yes.
Ah!
So there's so many amazing moments in this movie that I just want to see, like, the performances without all of the special effects. Like, Michael Fassbender is yelling so over the top, like his veins are like bulging out of his neck because he's trying to like hold the helicopter down while like Jean Grey is trying to push the helicopter up. And Connor and I were just trying so hard not to completely laugh out loud, which there was plenty of people in the theater that were straight up laughing out loud.
They had Magneto scream, with no irony, "Get to the chopper." That fucking happened.
They really went there. Get to the fucking chopper.
Okay, so then we get our teams for a second in this movie, right?
Yeah.
Beast decides to join Magneto because he wants vengeance. He wants to kill Jean. Cyclops and Charles want to protect Jean and save her from this dark force inside her.
Oh yeah, and Quicksilver's injured in the battle early, so like he's just sidelined for the whole movie because probably Evan Peters was busy and was like, yeah, I can't this time, guys.
So I mean, we don't get one of those scenes like you know.
Yeah, which I'm glad, because that scene in X-Men Apocalypse went on for way too long.
Yeah.
And clearly was just trying to be like, oh, the fans really liked this Quicksilver scene, so let's make it even longer.
So basically have this weird confrontation where Jessica Chastain is with where Vuk is with Jean. She's fucking with Jean's brain. And it's Magneto and Beast and some of the boys, twisty hair guy.
Yeah.
They're all going to kill her. And then Charles and Nightcrawler, Storm, and Cyclops show up, and we get... So Wolverine's not in this movie, so we got to give the fuck to Scott.
Yeah, oh my god. And it was such a bad...
If you kill her, I'll fucking kill you.
Like, such a
like
clunky, bad line. And like, seriously, Scott, what are you going to do against Magneto?
Yeah. Here's what I didn't get right. Like, they're battling, you know, they're battling with Magneto and his... And, like... There's a point where, like, Beast has his hands on the visor. Magneto can move metal. No one thought to just, I'm going to take this off you.
Yeah.
That was, like, in X-Men, that was, like, the big crutch. He kept losing the visor.
That's what I thought that Beast was going to do, was that he was going to pull the visor off, especially because it's, like, literally a pair of sunglasses.
Yeah.
So, like, I thought he was going to pull the visor off, but then he just doesn't.
And
that fight scene is just so, like...
There's no need. They were like, we need an action set piece.
And it's so boring. It takes place in, like, a street in front of a few houses.
Magneto pulls the subway up, and, like, that's not that cool. Like, it should be cool in theory, but it's just not.
I thought he was going to do the thing he did in X-Men Apocalypse, where he's like, you know, there's metal in the earth. Like, I was like, are we really doing this again? But then the subway comes up. For pretty much no reason. Magneto could have used he could have used the cars on the street, because he just wanted to block the entrance. He could have used so many other things to just block the entrance.
He goes to confront Jean. Jean's like, yeah, no, dude, look, I can do anything. Breaks the... Oh, God, so there's the reveal when he pulls out the helmet. We're like, yeah, it's not like I've seen this in every other X-Men movie ever.
Yeah. They hyped the helmet up so much in all of these prequel movies.
But they hyped the helmet up, and then it's immediately destroyed.
Yeah. And he's straight up stabbed with his helmet. Like, she stabs it into him, and then he's just fine. He's just fine a few scenes later. Like, no wounds or anything.
Yeah.
He just got a little bit of blood on his face. Like, I thought, oh, he's going to be, out for the rest of the movie. Because it looks, maybe he didn't get stabbed, but to me it looked like he got stabbed with the helmet.
And so basically then Charles goes in to confront Jean. He's like, no, I would never kill you.
Yeah.
Which I was like, what? Like, it was just a weird line. But,
yeah, because that whole scene is so awkward.
But then there's the weird...
Like, the first half of the movie, Jean is so hell-bent on, like, killing everyone that's wronged her, and then just one little conversation, she's like, never mind.
But the strangest fucking sequence of the movie, I think, which is...
The power hug.
Well,
or no, you're talking about...
Yeah, no, because, Charles says, you can do anything if you put your mind to it, and Jean's like, prove it, walk to me.
Oh my god.
And then makes him walk up the stairs, and it's just so uncomfortable.
Like, you're just like, why? Why are you doing this?
And she destroys the chair, and then that's when Charles somehow gets through to her. He's like, oh, read my mind.
And then she's like, I'm not a bad guy anymore.
That's literally, I mean, it's a...
Yeah.
And then Jessica Chastain hugs her, she's gonna take the power, and Charles is like, oh god, she'll kill us all. Which, that line, like, in the trailers was clear, like, oh god, like, Jean's gonna kill us all.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, it was just such a, like, bait and switch. There's no plot. Like, there's a plot. There's not really a plot in this movie.
Yeah. It's a collection of scenes where stuff happens.
And, so then all the X-Men are detained with, both the Cure from X3.
Yeah.
And,
the collars from Deadpool.
And the collars from Deadpool in 1992.
And then we just get a boring train sequence. Like, they really couldn't think of anything else to do with this movie. And this is legitimately the end of the movie. That's how little is going on in this movie. Is you just get so much nothing. And then it just ends with a boring set piece where they're on a train and these aliens are coming and they're getting blasted and destroyed.
Well, the X-Men are like, free us, we're your only chance.
Yeah, and they're like, we're not going to do that. And then what doesn't make sense in those scenes is, like, the aliens are bulletproof. They're taking all of this punishment. But then again, they get their necks broken.
Yeah.
They get stabbed once by Nightcrawler. They get hit with one optic blast from Cyclops, and then they're dead. Like, what is the power of these aliens? Are they super strong? Or are they just super resistant to bullets? I don't get it. There's nothing is established in this movie.
I built up an immunity to bullets.
But not getting my neck broken. That's one thing I didn't get to.
Huh.
So then, Jean she wakes up because she's unconscious after that scene, and then she pulls the trains out, and then we're in our final set piece of the movie.
No, wait.
Oh yeah.
I've got to protect my family. Jean line. There's the weird, like, little girl Jean.
Oh yeah, when they go in Xavier's mind.
Yeah, and like all the dialogue. I mean, all the dialogue is bad, but then Jean's like, I've got to protect my family, and it's like everyone's in an air bubble as she's like flipping this train.
It looks so Michael Fassbender when he's like,
he's clearly like sitting down though.
He looks like he's passed out drunk. like Michael Fassbender was on set, but he was drinking a lot, and then he passed out, and they were like, oh, we got to get this scene. Prop him up in the chair, and he's just like, we'll green screen it. It was so funny. There were so many moments in this movie where you just had to laugh at how fucking shitty it was.
And Jean's tearing up fools, I guess.
Yeah, she's just super strong and can control the Phoenix.
And the awkward Jessica Chastain runs up to her, and that looks so funny in and of itself. And then just grabs her like throat.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, Jean could kill her, but it would kill everyone else apparently.
Yeah.
And
just like, what? Like, how does that make any sense? Where was this established?
Yeah. So then she flies into space and becomes the Phoenix.
And blows up.
And that's that. And then...
there wasn't even like a showdown at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
It was literally just a wet fart. Just... That's it. And then for some reason the school gets renamed Jean Grey's School for
the Gifted.
But then 7 years later, it's going to go back to being Professor X's school.
And so then Xavier's just retired. He wears polos now. He's
But then 7 years later, he's not.
He's retired. He's in a cafe in France. And then
it's literally The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Rises.
Well, I was like fully expecting Jean to like just be there.
Yeah, seriously.
Magneto shows up and they are going to play a game of chess.
It's just like before.
And then a phoenix is in the air. And that's the end of that movie.
It seriously just ends like that. You think like, okay, maybe we're going to get some resolution with the other characters. Nope, nothing. The movie's just over.
Yeah.
All of us introducing Nightcrawler, Storm, Beast, all these characters that have been in several movies. Who cares? You don't care. But like... He fucked up the Dark Phoenix storyline once, and they gave him another chance, and he somehow made it worse.
And consider this. In X-Men Apocalypse, Jean already has Phoenix powers.
Seriously, she has Phoenix powers at the end of the movie, and then in this movie they're like, nope, she gets it from space. It's like the comic book. Like, did you watch
Just pick a lane and stick to it.
He wrote X-Men Apocalypse, but he also simultaneously did not remember anything that happened in X-Men Apocalypse. You wrote the movie, dude.
But yeah, this was one of those movies where quite early on, you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
And you're already very aware that time is passing, and you're in a theater watching this movie.
And we went into this with super low expectations.
Yeah.
There was hated X-Men Apocalypse, but I've seen every X-Men movie, so I just gotta. It's like an obligation.
Yeah. But now it is time for this franchise to rest.
Yes. Well, I mean
and rise from the ashes.
Shut up. This presumably is.
Shut the fuck up.
This presumably is the last X-Men movie from like the Fox era, because we all know New Mutants is not coming out. That movie's not happening. It's been delayed 3 times already. It's not coming.
It's being put in the vault with that John Malkovich movie that was also put in the vault.
The Robert Rodriguez one? That's not a real movie. I'm saying it now. That's not a real movie.
We'll never know.
But it was just so unbelievably bad. Like, I genuinely think this is probably the worst X-Men movie, period.
As we left the theater, I said, I want to go watch X-Men Origins to get the taste of this movie out of my mouth. Because
at the very least, that movie is like entertainingly bad. This movie is boring and it's bad.
It's got will.i.am.
Yeah. I mean, at least Gambit is there. Like, there's like little nuggets of like things that aren't complete dog shit. But how could you make a movie worse than that? I never expected to see an X-Men movie worse than Origins Wolverine.
Here we are.
But here we are. So, Connor, if you had to give it a final rating and your final thoughts.
Out of 10?
Yeah. Let's just do it real quick for the people who need a number on things.
I mean, this is generously a 2.
I would agree with that.
Generously. It's a really bad film. I felt bad for the people who were in it. I felt bad for myself while watching it.
At least they got paid. At least they got their paychecks. So,
and I felt bad for the, at this point, 20-year-old franchise
to just go out like this.
To go out on such a whimper, and these beloved characters, like this was their final outing, at least in this
until they're
version
introduced into the MCU at some point. But yeah, man, what a wet fart of a movie. Like, just nothing happens.
Like, you'd prefer it if it were just outrageously bad. And like, they just threw everything at the wall.
But most of the time, I'm just sitting there like, oh, is it almost over yet? So, yeah, I'll agree with you there. I'll give it a generous 2 out of 10. Just because of the Dazzler cameo. The brief Dazzler cameo where they gave her classic costume and she actually looked very accurate. But, that was very short-lived. And that's it. That's the review. That's Dark Phoenix. Don't go see it. It's not even so bad it's good. It's just boring and bad.
Which is the worst combo.
Skip it. I'm Nate. I've been joined with Connor.
You're not the only one with gifts.
If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and we will see you guys next time on Out of the Basement. Oh my god.
I told you, I lost brain cells during this movie.